I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Lorelei? Josephine, would you like to? We have Boy Scout Troop 3055, Josephine and Lorelei, doing our pledge tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That was very nice. Mary Beth, roll call.
Councilwoman Chapman. Here. Councilman Deegan.
Here.
Councilman Appuccino.
Here.
Councilman Reifenberg is absent tonight. Supervisor Albrecht.
Here.
Town Attorney Emily Svensson. Here. All present.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to accept items for special consideration of 15A, 15B, and 15C. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
And a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There are no public hearings, and I would like to make a motion to in receipt and acceptance of the minutes from the workshop meeting 3/4/24.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just a reminder that, being that we have a whole room full of firefighters somewhat tonight, the New York State burn ban is on, and it's in effect from 3/16/24 to 5/14/24. Please do not burn anything during that time. Our correspondence, all official correspondence, is on file in the town clerk's office. It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of our prior assessor clerk, Bonnie Clark, who served the town of Pleasant Valley for 14 years. She retired on January 4th, 2013. Our thoughts and prayers are with her family at this difficult time. I would like to ask for a motion on the floor to dedicate a blank page in the minutes in her honor. Do I hear a motion?
I'll second.
Motion.
Motion, sorry.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Tonight we have a couple of presentations. Our first presentation is an update on the new town hall, town of Pleasant Valley website by Councilman Deegan.
Thank you, Supervisor Albrecht. So in tonight's example of be careful what you complain about, you might end up being in charge of it. I'm happy to report that I heard a lot of people. I'm glad there are actually people here to hear this tonight. We are going to have a new website. It's going to be phenomenal. It's probably a couple months out, but I just wanted to give a quick update on where it stands. And then as we get a little bit closer, there is going to be a presentation where you'll be able to see what it looks like. But really, the goal was to modernize the website. We were a bit outdated. It was really hard to update it. There was a lot of just bad information. We needed a lot of cleanup. I think when that website was created, it did a good job for many years, but then just the needs of the town and the technology really kind of, it got beyond it. So to give you an idea of the process, it's pretty lumpy moving over a municipal website. It's easier said than done, and I've learned that it's one thing to create a new website, but to roll all the information over that you had before, it takes a little bit of while. So there were a couple processes that have already been completed. So the first thing is we had to do an initial setup, and before I go any further, the credit's really due to Councilman Reifenberg. He really had this, he started this project, then he passed it over to me so he could start working on some other things. That said, any complaints or any negative feedback you have, please send it to him. Any compliments or positive feedback, send it to me. He's not here to defend himself, so just kidding, Mike, wherever you are. No, send all the feedback to me, please. But so we had to do an initial setup. That's completed. We had to approve the design. That's done. We had to do HTML development. That's completed. There was CMS enabling. I don't know what that means, but it's done. The biggest process was the sitemap. So when you do this, you have to lay it all out. You have to link the pages. You have to link the pages to the pages. That should be done in about a week. And then really the big process is rolling over the content from what we had now. When you go to Pleasant Valley's website now, rolling all of that over onto a new server that's going to be ready for the new website to be launched. That should be, that's going to be done in about a week to 2 weeks from today. So these are the deadlines that we have moving forward. So 1 to 2 weeks from today is going to be the migration. Then there's the final quality testing that I'll be involved with. That's 2 to 3 weeks. So all of these are hinging on the week before it. So 2 to 3 weeks from today is the final quality test. Then there's training and beta site review. That's where we really do the testing to make sure we're happy with it, see how it works, see how easy it is to update it. We've been told it's easy to do and other people can do it. We'll see. That's 4 to 6 weeks from today. And then we go live in 9 to 12 weeks. So what I promise you, it's going to look way better. It's going to be, it's going to be something we can be proud of. And I promise you there's going to be things on there that don't work. So please let me know. It's gonna be 99% good, but I'm sure there's gonna be things that people find and have issues with that I'm happy to hear the feedback so we can correct it. But it's coming, and I would say within 2 to 3 months we'll be done. So more to come.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
Okay, we also have another presentation tonight, which is a report on Pleasant Valley Fire and EMS Services by Commissioner Lawler.
Fire and EMS and in Pleasant Valley, and I wanted to be able to answer those questions. So we decided as the board that we would go ahead and put together a presentation on fire and EMS in Pleasant Valley. The reason being is transparency. I want the citizens in the town and the town board to also know what it looks like for us on the fire service and EMS service that we're providing for the town as a community service. And that way you feel like you're informed. So with that, we'll go forward. This is a picture, we think probably from 1960s, you know, the number of guys in line, parade marching down Main Street, pretty cool. All right, so what we're gonna talk about today is fire and EMS mitigation and the purposes of that and what the anticipation of that is gonna look like to the community moving forward. And then I'm gonna go into the community risk assessment and also what our current fire and EMS statistics look like in the town. I'm sorry, I don't like to put my back to you guys, so I'm gonna try and do both. We have a pretty big district in Dutchess County, so we serve 33.2 square miles in the town, which is a large district. I want everybody to know that we have 2 firehouses in the town. One is located here on Main Street. That's our main hub. That's where most of our call volume comes out of. Our other is up in Saw Point on Cottage Street. That's what we call Station 2. Out of that, we have 4 career firefighter EMTs that serve Monday through Friday. They serve 7:30 to 3:30 every day. The rest of the staff is then covered by volunteer firefighter EMTs. We also have a small list of per diem firefighters that fill in as needed. Commercial ambulance is covered through the district, 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Our Empress ambulance is what covers that, and then also Saturday and Sunday they serve 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The rest of the time is covered by volunteer EMTs out of Pleasant Valley. We have a nighttime duty crew, that's 2 people, and that's a BLS service. BLS means basic life support. Empress, which I said is contracted through the town, we'll talk about that in a minute, is an advanced life support, that's ALS. So there was some discrepancies on social media. I wanted to explain that. They're 2 different, BLS is basic. ALS is advanced. It offers more. You can get medications, you can get airways, you can get an IV. Basic is not that. This is the town map. It looks a little squished because that's what happens sometimes when you put it into a presentation. Okay. What I wanted to show is what the population for the town of Pleasant Valley has done. It's been a progressive growth, as you can see. We're just under 10,000 population in the town. This is what our call volume has done. As you can see, it's also increasing. Why is it important to do a community risk assessment? Because we need to be able to know what the population that we're serving, what they're undergoing, and what our role is to the community. So in order to do a comprehensive community profile, we go through and we look at federal qualifications on what the community is composed of. When we do that, we're able to identify gaps in services so that we are able to provide that service to the community. Things that we look for at-risk population, the federal government again gives us those guidelines. We need to look for children under the age of 5 years old, adult populations over 65, people with disabilities, language barrier, and poverty and low income. This is what the town of Pleasant Valley currently looks like, and as you can see, we have all of those at-risk populations residing here in the town. That makes our job as fire and EMS very busy because we have a high population over the age of 65, we have poverty, we have children under the age of 5, and we have people that we serve that have disabilities. We also have an increasing rate of Hispanic population, so we have increasing population that speaks a different language. So people who live in the town of Pleasant Valley, you come through, you are exposed to different hazards, and this is what we provide as fire and EMS. We have obviously fires that go on which involve structures, vehicles, aircraft, things like that. You have illness. We just got done with a pandemic which hit us pretty hard for services for the town. We have transportation networks. Our largest transportation networks that go through the town are Route 44, Taconic State Parkway, Salt Point Turnpike. Hazardous materials go through our town consistently, and anybody that complains about the roads, that's one of those dump trucks that go through. So those are hazardous materials. Terrorism and acts of violence, natural and environmental hazards. For example, with the weather conditions that are changing, that's a hazardous mitigation that we need to be aware of. Then also our bodies of water. Anybody who lives in the town understands that the creek floods pretty regularly, so that's something that we have to be aware of. Like I just talked about, here's our hazard mitigations that we serve for the town. We give you these services on a volunteer basis and also as a career staff basis. We have to be prone to, we know Pleasant Valley is prone to flooding. When you overlay a FEMA flood map on the town of Pleasant Valley, there's very many areas that are underneath a FEMA flood map. The zones which are critical to the town infrastructure, housing, and the roadways. Severe thunderstorms are increasing as the weather dynamics are changing. We also have increasing tropical storms, depressions, and hurricane remnants that come up through this area. These cause massive power outages, and it also affects the roadways. This again affects our infrastructure for the town and also for us for fire and EMS. High heat days, as the weather continues to change, we have to focus on high heat days and how does that pose a risk factor to people in this town. If remember when I talked to you about our increasing level of people over the age of 65 and they live in poverty conditions, air conditioning is something that they probably don't have. So that affects us on an EMS level of how we're providing ambulances services to the town, and we need to be aware of this. High heat days also affect children under the age of 5. Wildland urban interface fires, this is called WUI. This is an increasing threat that we're seeing throughout the United States. It used to be, as the town supervisor said, there's a burn ban going on. It used to be that burn bans and WUI fires were only through a couple months, but now with the changing climates, it is a constant threat that we have to be aware of. When you overlay the wildland fire map on top of Pleasant Valley, we actually are at an increased risk. And what this means is things like, if you take the 909, for example, if there's a fire in that, there's also housing development that it will affect. So we need to be cognizantly aware of those. Specialized Rescue Task Force, with the increasing rates of active shooter events and things like there's active shooter events, and there's also other like cars that go into populations, like for parades. We have to be aware and trained for be able to provide services for those. And we also do ice rescue. We do water. There's things that we have to train our fire and EMS to be able to provide these services for you. Nor'easters and blizzards, we didn't have any this year, which was really nice. So emergency medical services, this is a trend that we have to be aware of right now. It's increasing. It's a crisis state throughout the whole nation, very much so in Dutchess County. And so these are things that I really wanted to get into a little bit more. We'll dig into those. We have to ensure there's adequate staffing levels to be able to provide an ambulance for the town. Something that's another trend is increasing cybersecurity and homegrown terrorism. Anybody that's gotten their identity stolen, you are aware of that. Hackers will break into, like they could break into the town and they could hold their information hostage, so we have to figure out how to do strong encryption protocols. Lastly, the other mitigation factor that we have to be aware of on a commissioner level is the health and wellness that we're providing for our firefighters and EMS. Anybody that's aware and takes a little can hear there's constant cancer concerns. Firefighting is actually considered a profession with cancer, so we have to be aware of how we're providing for our members that are in the fire and EMS. So last year we provided our approximate call response was for fire and rescue, approximately 24% of our yearly call volume, versus EMS we provided 76%. So our call volume last year was like roughly, what would you say, Bill, 1,500? Yeah, right around 1,500 calls last year for the town we provided, and out of that, 76% was a call for an ambulance. That's a high number. So our ambulances, like I said, are provided the BLS, which is the volunteers, and also the career staff during the day. Our ALS is the commercial units, which is, like I talked about, Empress. We have carry an AED, we carry medications. We provide firefighter incident rehab for events like structure fires. The fire and rescue, they're trained in fire suppression, auto extrication, and ice rescue technicians. We're going to be moving forward with the county on Asher Events, which is the active shooter, to provide a rescue task force for that. Here's another map of our town, and all the red dots are our highest call volume areas, and the blue dots are our fire stations. Per the guidelines for the NFPA, we have to be able to provide service to somebody within 9 minutes. So our stations are actually located in areas that can get us to ambulances and fire engines within 9 minutes, but that's from dispatch time. And so I really would like the town to understand, the constituents of the town, that your volunteers, when their pager goes off, the clock is starting to tick. So as soon as somebody calls 911 for an ambulance or a fire engine, that then starts ticking. We have to get out of our home in the middle of the night. We have to get down to a firehouse. We have to then get your ambulance out and do all this in a certain time period. This is crucial and critical, especially if you're suffering under a medical emergency, and when the ambulance gets there, we have to be there quickly. So as you can see, most of our call volume is actually centered in the town of Pleasant Valley, or in the like the little hamlet of Pleasant Valley itself, and we have a couple other outlying areas that we have what we call places that we go to pretty frequently, our top 5. All these areas correspond with what those, with the areas of poverty, demographic, elderly, children, and people with disabilities. Here's our statistics from 2022. I wanted to show, this is when we had the contract with Mobile Life, and so we were having a consistent, where they weren't able to give us an ALS, which again is the advanced life support. At 37% of the time, we were receiving mutual aid. And what was most telling to us is that we have a pretty interesting phenomenon that goes on here in Pleasant Valley, where we have multiple simultaneous calls that go on. So in 2022, we had 11% of that, which means that if somebody calls and needs a fire truck or an ambulance, within a certain amount of time, somebody else is calling. Like sometimes they're back to back to back. We'll have 3-4 calls right in a row where we're trying to get out equipment to help save people. And then our EMS alarms in 2022 were 1,102, so 73% of that. Our EMS contract hours with mobile was at 43%. Our non-contract was 57%. As we started to see the increase with turnover rates, which means that that was a call that was not answered and had to go out to a different ambulance, we at that point went to the town board and asked for increased coverage, which is what we are now having for 2023 with Empress. So our call volume for 24. Our call volume in 23 went up for EMS to 76%. And at that time, with the increased coverage from the commercial agencies, they went up to 61%. They were covering our calls for EMS, and we were at 39% for the volunteers. We were able to bring down our mutual aid received and by having the increased hours for coverage for the commercial agency. What also went up was our simultaneous calls last year. We went, remember, in 22, we were at 11%, in 23, we're at 16%. I can say for 24%, that, or 2024, that trend is continuing. So what I wanted to look into was a deeper look for this, and what this means for us in the town of Pleasant Valley is that we're trending towards more calls for fire and EMS. We have increased overutilizers. 56 addresses have requested EMS services 3 times or more in 23. 33 addresses requested EMS 5 times or more. 8 addresses were 8 times or more in 2023. That's multiple calls in the district. We talked about that. We have weekend hours have been increasing. Our call volume in Pleasant Valley is very interesting. It's like a bell, you know, if everybody looks at a bell. We actually most of our calls occur between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. A lot of lunchtime people call. And then we have the weekend hours are also very busy for us, which makes sense because a lot of people commute out of Pleasant Valley. What I'm showing here is I went back through time and showed where in 2010, when we were contracting for a commercial ambulance, that was how much it cost, under $100,000. Now we're just under $500,000. That's how much it costs for emergency medical services. It's expensive. So I want people in the town to understand that this is what this is going to look like moving forward. It's just going to keep adding up. What we anticipate happening, I wanted to go back and give a little bit of a backstory so people understood how this came to be. In 2001, under Supervisor Hickman, we had a municipal agreement was established. In 2009 to 2010, Supervisor McNair, he put a map and a plan and a report together. That created the Pleasant Valley Ambulance District, which everyone that pays their taxes sees that on their tax. That happened in 2009 and 2010. That was to pay for this commercial ambulance that I talked about before when you saw that price increase. In 2022, the EMS crisis status in Dutchess County is severely affecting EMS services. The State of the Union address given by the county executive, she talked about this last week. There's multiple calls where in the Dutchess County that go unanswered for over 20 minutes or more. People are lagging getting an ambulance. Town of Pleasant Valley Fire Commissioners, we requested at that time an increase in hours for commercial agency to be used, and the bidding process and the new EMS contract went into place with Empress for the town board last year. I want everyone in the whole town to understand what this EMS crisis looks like so everyone is aware what we're facing every single day. We have staffing shortages in the entire state. Not just here, it's in the entire state. Their EMTs and paramedics, the current numbers are below what is currently needed to give an ambulance to people in the state. We're losing EMTs and paramedics at a faster rate than we can even bring them in. There's a declining rate of volunteerism, rising costs, lack of funding, extended response time or no responses of ambulances. The physical and emotional demands of EMS and burnout are real. There's inadequate coverage. We have to use mutual aid. Overutilization of EMS and ERs as a stopgap. There's pay disparities. It's unrecognized as an essential service in New York. Reimbursement rates are stagnant and insufficient. rising call volume, and we have a lack of understanding by EMS, by elected officials, and by citizens, which was my goal to be able to do this presentation so then people would understand a little bit more. Some of the questions that came through on social media talked about the billing that was going on for ambulances. And so I wanted to be able to say that if you have Medicare, this is a federal law. It actually has nothing to do with the town hall, and it has nothing to do with us on the fire company, and it's a federal law for Medicare. So I wanted everybody to fully understand that. If you get a bill because you rode in our volunteer ambulance and a paramedic had to come in our volunteer ambulance to take care of you because we give patient-centered care. Your care is important to us, and the way that we get you to the hospital is under protocols of the Department of Health, Bureau of Emergency Medicine. How we get you there sometimes might involve a paramedic on our volunteer ambulance. And that means that you're gonna get a bill because of that. So there's extenuating circumstances for some people that require, because of this crisis that we're in, and so I wanted to explain that. It's a federal law because of our population. It has nothing to do with your insurance, the town hall, or us, the fire company. What we see EMS is today is it's a public health. We encompass all healthcare. We're disaster response, we're hazard mitigation, we're public health. And then the trending services, like I talked about through this presentation, is overutilization, limited resources, the advanced life support is unavailable, increased staffing needs, and we have extended coverage hours. Our goal for this is as commissioners was to offer transparency to public officials and community residents. We have increased communication between the public entities within the town regarding fire and EMS. We also have increased communications within the county government to be able to encourage, they're taking a very active role, the county executive in the EMS crisis as well. There's accountability of fire EMS services for community needs. We're engaging and collaborating with community stakeholders. We're very willing to navigate a challenging environment and be a part of this solution, recognizing that EMS is an essential service on a state level in legislation, which is on the board right now on the state in Albany. And we actively participate in recruitment and retention of volunteer fire EMS. So like Wade just said, the Pleasant Valley Board of Fire Commissioners proactively recognizes the importance of this collaboration with county officials, the Department for Emergency Response, mutual aid, fire departments, and EMS, public and private stakeholders to effectively address the increasing demands of emergency medical services. By working together, we can establish a comprehensive strategy to enhance resource allocation, streamline communication and coordination, and optimize response times. We want patient-centered, reliable, consistent, attainable, and affordable care. You can volunteer today by going to pvfdny.org.
That was excellent. Thank you very much. Well, we are going to open the agenda up for public comment now, so do we have the handheld microphone? Doesn't work. Okay. Actually, maybe I'll have you use this one because they come up and talk at the podium, and then you can leave that on, and you can answer questions from this one if you'd like. Okay, at this time, I will make a motion to open for public comment. Agenda items only, one time, 3 minutes per person.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to ask any questions? Yes.
Couple things. I'm short. Yeah, I'm not as short as you, though. No, I'm kidding. I'm afraid to touch it. Good, good, good. Two things. This is fabulous. Thank you so much to the town board. I know I'm talking about the EMS, that's fabulous, but I'm also talking about this new technology where we have this and no, she's fabulous. Our fire department is fabulous, but I'm talking about the technology. Thank you so much to Dan for giving us a report. I was one of the people that over the years have had some issues with the website, so that makes me happy. I haven't been around in a while. I'm busy raising a 7-month Yorkie Poo puppy, so I'm busy. But I did come out tonight because there was a couple items on the agenda that I want to talk about. One is Town Board Resolution number 313/2024. The reason that I am bringing this up are a couple. I'd like to ask the board a couple of questions about it, just so that I'm familiar with what's going on here. My question is that these appropriations total $4,675, and I understand that, but my first question is why they are being paid for out of assigned unappropriated fund balance. When the town does their budget, they have all of these account lines, and they're apropos to be paid out of those account lines. So my question is why we're not paying them out of the account lines that are in the 2024 budget. The other one gives me some pause for what might be going on here. Let me also preface this by saying there is a possibility that I would find out more information when the town board has an opportunity to discuss these resolutions. So I've said this to every single town board prior to this, that it's very hard to talk about a resolution when you haven't heard the town board discuss it. The town board might answer my questions, but this is my only opportunity to talk about it. The other resolution that I'm talking about is abstract number 3 of 2024. This reads that the Town of Pleasant Valley Town Board has audited the bills presented by the town clerk, and an abstract has been completed, and it authorizes the town supervisor to pay all the claims as follows. Over the years, this is the way the bills get paid. I understand that vouchers are submitted, and once a month, there's a resolution done to authorize the payment. Usually, they run anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 a month, which seems like a high amount, but this is a town to run. What has me very perplexed on this one is that abstract 3 of 2024 general fund claims is $2,307,432.67. So I'm here tonight. This authorizes the supervisor to pay general fund claims in that amount. We have about a $4.2 million budget. This is half of the town's budget that we're allocating to pay to general fund, but we don't have any information as to what that's being paid. I'm hoping that that's a mistake. The other thing I wanted to ask, just going back to the other one, I'd like to know why $575 is allotted for taxes on the Rettle property. I believe the town owns it, so I'm just curious as to why we're paying taxes on it. Again, if this is marked draft, and if it is indeed a draft, and it isn't going to be adopted tonight, please accept my apologies, because I haven't been able to hear the town board discuss it. Thank you.
I'm just going to jump in on one of those items, which is the taxes on the donated property. It has to be taken off the tax rolls in the subsequent year after the town acquires it. There's only once a year when that can be done, and so until that point, the taxes had to be paid. But subsequently, they will not be. Sure.
Yeah, I'll wait till later. Is there anybody else that would like to?
Nope, just me. Gary Vader, South Point Turnpike, Pleasant Valley. Thank you for your presentation. I have a question that I might have missed and you answered. If I call an ambulance for some problem and they respond, but our local one isn't running, we get charged for that?
When you call for 911 for an ambulance during Empress hours,
During,
the Empress, that's the contracted commercial hours.
yeah,
So if the commercial agency comes to get you, yes, you'll get a charge for them. Just like you would get for your insurance company if you go see a specialist and they're gonna get a copay, right?
yeah.
So yes, there is a charge.
I'm on Medicare, so.
Right, so Medicare is different than, remember I talked about the federal law that was up there, that's a little bit different.
All right, so I wouldn't get charged, because I just had a recent, yeah, where I was injured on a site that I was working on, and I couldn't get up. So if I called an ambulance, I would get charged?
Well, it would depend again when you called the ambulance, because if it's the volunteers that came and got you, you would not get a charge. But if it's a commercial agency, you would get a charge.
Thank you. I'm
Okay.
just, you know, with the taxes we pay, I wish there was a way around this. Fire taxes are a bit. Thank you.
Anybody else? At this time, I will close the agenda to the public comment. So,
Second.
oh, okay. That's all right. Our new business discussion for tonight is Earth Day. We're going to do Earth Day a little bit different this year. We're going to have it for the whole month of May, or April, from April 1st to April 30th. And you will come into the clerk's office and you will sign in on a sign-up sheet, which will include the road that you will be working on. You'll sign a volunteer waiver, which has to be signed. And then we will provide you with orange bags and gloves along with instructions. And then you will, whatever road you're going to pick, you will sign up for. And then you'll call us and let us know where the bags are. And our wonderful highway department will go out and pick them up and bring them back to the transfer station. We don't want anybody carrying the bags, putting them in their car, bringing them back to the transfer station. Just let it go, and we will pick them up ourselves. Any larger items, such as tires, old metal, etc., will be picked up by the highway department along with the orange bags as per your instruction. So if you find tires, then just, you know, leave them by the side, off the side of the road, not right on. Leave them off the side of the road with whatever else you might have. You just let the people know approximately where they are, and or the clerk's office, and then they will pick all the stuff up. Okay, where are we here? Okay, for old business discussion, we have nothing, and then we go into the resolutions. Resolution 308 of 2024, adopting revised procurement policy.
I'll make a motion.
I hear a second?
Second.
Say anything about that?
The procurement policy? Yeah, if you would like to. Sure.
So the main reason for changing the procurement policy was to add the environmentally preferred purchasing section, which makes the town eligible for the Green Purchasing Communities program through New York State. But while we were in there, we also made some other updates just to clarify things about which categories apply, which I hope makes it a little clearer for everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Resolution 309, 2024, authorizing contract with GS Bubbles LLC for summer camp.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor? Are
Aye.
you going to do second?
Second.
You were going to say it, but then we got, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. All in favor? Yeah, I got yelled at.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution 310 of 2024, reappointment of member to planning board. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Pleasant Valley does hereby designate and reappoint Eric Check as a member of the planning board to fill a 5-year term effective January 1st, 2024, with an expiration date of December 31st, 2028.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 311 of 2024, adoption of amended escrow fund schedule for the building, planning, and zoning department. So what is happening here is that some of the escrows have not been high enough. So there's going to be a few changes to the sign permit, ground-mounted solar energy systems, zoning amendment, and change of occupancy.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 312 of 2024, accepting grant for Children's Garden. The Dutchess County had put out a grant application for a children's garden, and the grant is going to provide $6,000 towards that program.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Amending the 2024 general budget, resolution number 313, 2024.
I'll make a motion.
I had a question on this.
Sure.
So are we able to answer, oh no, I'm on, okay, never mind. We have that answer. Second.
I can the other thing, yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, he did. Resolution 314 of 2024, amending the 2024 highway budget.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 315 of 2024, authorizing payment of abstract number 3 of 2024. Carol, the general fund claims is the fire and library tax. That's why it's so high. Together, yes. It's all, yeah.
I'll make a motion.
I had another question on that.
Sure.
Is there a reason why that can't be broken out on this so that that question gets resolved and it doesn't?
Actually, I'm glad you said that because I'm gonna try to have her do that the next time. Yeah, I made a note on here. Yeah, but I still think it can be.
I'm sorry. It's the way I give the bookkeeper the money as my taxes come in, and I pay the bookkeeper weekly. So sometimes I don't have $1 million in the checking account to give her, so I have to give it as much as I have at that time. That's why you see it, it's not, sometimes I can pay her the ambulance for the full amount, and sometimes it's broken down, so it's just the way taxes are collected.
Did you?
Yes, the 5 is 5, yes.
Okay,
Anybody else?
yeah, you can.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 316 of 2024, authorizing payment of abstract number 3P/2 of 2024.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 317 of 2024, accepting donated services from Johnson Surveying LLC. Yeah, but I just keep going. Is that all right?
Oh, we did make the
Yeah.
change.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I
Oh,
missed
that's
it.
okay. That's all right.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 318 of 2024, resolution authorizing use of ARPA funds for computer refresh.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
In case anybody was, doesn't have the paper in front of them, that is with Logically, and it was $83,176.55. All in favor?
Aye.
And most of that had already been allocated. It
Yes.
was just a little bit extra.
Yes. Town Board Resolution 319 of 2024, authorizing contract with Skyhawk Sports Academy to provide youth programs.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll open the meeting for public comment. New agendums only, non-agenda items, one time only, 3 minutes a person.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sure.
Greg Straley, Pleasant Valley. This is on a nuisance complaint that people have turned in. And I see that the Building and Zoning Department is enforcing the nuisance and noise ordinance laws, which I've been asking for years along with number of people about the noise from 410 North Avenue, which is Peckham material. And I turned in some foils a month ago, and some of them got answered and other ones didn't. I turned in a foil asking for a copy of the complaints that were turned in resulting in the violations to this violation that I handed you. So I asked the Building and Zoning Department for a copy of the complaints. Well, he sent me back the foil, no signature, no nothing, just sent it back to me. But yet I see that they are enforcing all kinds of zoning issues in Pleasant Valley, and we've been asking this for a number of years. And a person in the building department, John Fumo, has been up here many a times complaining about 410 North Avenue. And he drives by it more than likely every day to work here. And he sees the dust, stones, and everything in the road and what's taking place down there. And he's yet to file anything on that for a ticket. And I'm just asking, this looks like it's, you know, a double standard here, as we can see. So I'd ask to look into it about why there's nothing being violations on 410 North Avenue. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Gary Veeder, Pleasant Valley. A neighbor of mine to the south had a complaint against Peckham Industries regarding Jake brakes on trucks that they could hear all the way from the corner of Smith Road and Salt Point Turnpike and Shiro Road. He contacted Peckham directly, and the secretary first explained to him that it was probably from Concrete Company, which is a tenant of that. At any rate, within about an hour and a half, the plant manager at Peckham called them back and said, "We have taken care of your problem. We have changed companies transporting the stuff here." So they do answer.
Thank you, Gary. Anyone else? Not seeing anyone else want any comments. I will close the meeting to the public comment.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we will adjourn the meeting at 7:10, or no, 7:50, sorry.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.